AITA if I cancel Christmas because I can't afford it this year. The title says it all. I am the only provider for my family. All of my credit cards are maxed up. I have a negative bank balance. I will skip payments until my next paycheck, and I will be virtually homeless for the foreseeable future. My wife and I always decorate on Black Friday, but I don't want to this year. I'm filled with humiliation, rage, and grief at the prospect of putting up our artificial tree, knowing I'll have nothing to put beneath it. I'd rather simply let December go by and cut out as many things as possible until I can get my finances under control. In addition, my daughter is just 2 years old. She won't notice, care about, or remember one missed Christmas. So, what's up, AITA? What say you here? I'm already a failure as a husband and parent, so what say you? This has got out of hand. I never expected such a positive reaction to my sad guy pity party. I expected to be labeled in, to have my self-loathing validated, and to fight my way out of debt by working harder. I was not prepared for the outpouring of love and support that I do not deserve or can accept. Info, and I apologize for not making this obvious in the first post. Our mortgage and utilities have been paid in full. There is food in our refrigerator, and my next paycheck is secure, despite the fact that it, too, will go entirely to bills, with no money left over for presents. I pretended not to notice that we weren't maintaining our pre-child lifestyle without credit cards, and I got in over my head, and now I have to dig myself out of a relatively deep hole, which means I won't have money for gifts, meals out, holiday gatherings, and other such things for quite some time. But I have a great job and an amazing family support system who all live nearby and understand what it's like to be in debt and will understand if we can't chip in this year with anything other than our presence. But it felt shameful to have all of these advantages and still it up as badly as I did without asking for help. As for everyone pleading with me to take their assistance, here's why I can't. I earn an excellent living. There is no way I or my family will go hungry. We have food and will have food money allocated into my paychecks, which are safe since my work is safe. I have a very well-funded 401k from 18 years of office employment, as well as life insurance to protect my family. Thank you to everyone who offered meals. Thank you to everyone who volunteered to purchase items from my 2-year Amazon Olds wish list. She is 2 years old and does not have one. My wife and I had previously agreed that she had too many toys, so we only planned on getting her books and a learning tablet. She'll be okay if we can't afford to buy her things. She already has things. Her close-in-age relatives reside on our block, and we often trade toys and clothing, and both of our homes are packed with stuff. This was not about eliciting sympathy or compassion. My fear in associating presents with love distorted Christmas for me. It almost wrecked my Christmas. Regardless of the outcome of this vote, I am for that. So please direct your charitable efforts toward your community and neighbors. Not some middle-class jerk who went into debt to show how much he cared about a family that merely required him to be a happy and healthy presence at home. You've all humbled me beyond words and kindness. You've given me the perspective and bravery to seek professional treatment, both financial and psychological, and I'm hoping it's not too late for this dumb old guy to become a better parent and husband. Yes, Virginian, Santa Claus exists. His soul lives on in all of you kind and altruistic Redditors. Never lose sight of the light. All my love and best wishes to everyone. But, as you can see, I don't deserve your compassion or your goodwill, and I'm going to try to withdraw back into obscurity as soon as possible to work on myself. Update 1. For those who are worried, I have never ever contemplated harming myself, not even once. I'm getting on in years, but the Goonies never say die. Update 2. I hope this addresses all of the questions that people had, since there were a lot of them, so I'm simply going to create a bio that answers them all. I reside in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. When we became pregnant, after 6 years of trying, failing, treatments and tears, we discovered that it would cost us $50 per month for my wife to work her current job and put our daughter in full-time daycare, as daycare costs upwards of $1,600 per month for even local co-ops, let alone the $2,100 plus that most daycare companies were asking. The answer was for her to retire and take on the far more difficult task of being a full-time mother. I work a day job from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and DJ a local pub at night, as well as private events / weddings / etc. when I can book them. My daughter was about to turn 2 and would be able to start 3 days a week preschool for significantly less than the expense of 5 days a week daycare, allowing my wife to return to work, although part-time. I was in the midst of finding a surgeon to perform my vasectomy when we discovered that, despite taking birth control, my wife was pregnant again. We're expecting a son this time in February. Complete astonishment, disbelief, some pretty unhealthy ideas, and then acceptance that I would have to continue to be the full-time provider, since there was no way we could place 2 children in full-time care. Thus, my sainted wife would have to spend at least another 2 years as a full-time parent. My wife and I are elderly folks, 42M, 40F, who attempted to have children earlier in life, but were unable to do so despite several treatments, and finally succeeded after we stopped trying so hard and surrendered ourselves to the idea of a happy dual income, no kids existence full of travel and memories. Bringing one life into this world at the age of 40 after all we'd been through was a joke, only for life to bless me with a second kid. My wife is ecstatic, and I'm pleased but concerned about how I will pay for this. She applied for part-time seasonal employment to assist with our expenses, but the position she was accepted for only gave her 2 shifts in 2 weeks, and one of those hours was taken away at the last minute due to overstaffing. She has a meeting with them today to determine if it is worth her time to continue working there, depending on whether they can genuinely provide her with at least 20 hours per week, as she asked when she applied. We've had shared money since we were married. We don't keep anything from one another. We're both aware of our financial problems and have been working on strategies to better our condition. Many thanks to everyone for the links and websites. I've bookmarked them all. We have and will continue to communicate. We made a pledge to each other 13 years ago that we would never bear our hardships alone. Finally, hopefully, I realize this is lengthy. I am humbled by your kind offerings, dear strangers. I am really and profoundly humbled. I can't take them, whether for silly pride or another moral reason, but please know that your warm comments and even gentler offerings have eased my decision to cancel Christmas this year. I recently spent 2 days helping with coworkers at 2 local food banks, preparing meals, clothing, and groceries for the community. So if you're one of the many great people who offered assistance, please direct that assistance to your local charity. I had a roof over my head and food in my stomach, and I couldn't ask for anything more, not when I already have so much. I'm still dreading the prospect of carrying that old artificial tree out of the laundry room, but my sentiments must always come third, here and always. My wife and daughter need the love and pleasure that ancient tree will provide, and I must give them all I can, even if it is only the spirit of the season. They deserve to enjoy the comfort of a holiday home, and because we already own it, it's literally the least I can do. My gifts will be the 1 million photos my wife takes of our daughter, plucking all the decorations she can reach off the tree and displaying them to her with her gorgeous grin. Our family are nearby, and I know our parents will do all they can to pamper our girl, and I know it will be more than enough. Update 3. My wife and I have downloaded a budget software and are collaborating with a family member who specializes in financial planning. I talked with someone, a professional, early this morning, and she helped me recognize that I was comparing being able to provide things with displaying love to my family with just the first phone conversation. Not being able to afford baubles will not make me love them any less, and I will have to accept that and continue to work with her for as long as my insurance allows. We have an embarrassment of riches to go through thanks to close friends with growing children, and wrapping some of these things for my young daughter to rip into is more than enough for my wife and me. My wife and I have an abundance of clothing. Thank you everyone who has volunteered to buy stuff for us. My heart is overflowing with gratitude for the unselfish and amazing offerings. But I meant it when I beg you to kindly direct your enormous hearts to your local organizations. I already have more than enough things, and stealing items from people to make up for my terrible spending habits seems unethical. It will be a difficult few months, but I have a good job with opportunities for advancement, and I plan to work with professionals to learn some much-needed budget control, as well as with a therapist to learn to accept help from family and friends when the new baby arrives, and to be less hard on myself. I'm also intending to spend more time with my local food bank. I signed up to help make meal kits this week that will be given in my town for Christmas. This holiday season, I want to give freely, but not in the consumerist sense. That, I believe, is a new custom that my family can and will carry on for many years. Even those of you who called me a dumb, thank you for keeping me grounded as well. Those of you who have wondered how I could have tried for 6 years to have a child and not bothered to budget for it after it arrived, are grossly misunderstanding how much fertility treatments cost even with insurance, and how thoroughly messed up American healthcare is. We are taking precautions to guarantee that this is our last child, and I'd even discussed abortion with my wife, but she would not even consider it. I'm grateful for it right now. Update 4. It's been 2 weeks, and the texts are still flooding in. Thankfully, the charitable offerings have ceased. Hopefully, they were diverted to their respective communities, but several of them have inquired as to whether or not I had stopped being a Grinch and resumed being a nice husband and parent. So to appease those individuals first, I'll tell you what I did. I decorated. Sorry, no pictures featuring our faces. I also talked with a financial advisor, who is assisting me in developing a budget for 2020, and a counselor, who assisted me in realizing that I was worth more than the commodities I could provide someone. She offered 2 other therapists to me, but neither is accepting new patients until the new year, so for the time being, my wife and I are working on our budget and cleaning up various sections of the home for items to sell. So far, we've gotten rid of some unused basement furniture, a mini fridge that has been empty for 2 years, a bunch of wine racks and paraphernalia. We don't drink at home since the baby was born 2 years ago, so there's no need to keep it around, as well as some other items, and made about $750, which is more than enough to pay off all the past 2 bills, put some money in savings, and put groceries in the cupboard. It will be a long road to pay off our credit card debt, but we are finally addressing the problem and heading in the right path. Since my last payday, which paid my mortgage and electricity. So no concerns there. For anyone who wondered if I was behind, thank you. I've also been given and accepted 3 DJ jobs for holiday parties. 2 for personal friends/acquaintances, 1 for a charity. I denied payment for the children's charity performance, instead offered to donate the money directly back to the kids, which the organizer enthusiastically accepted. The extra cash from the 2 paying gigs paid off some more debt and left enough for me to buy some nice new books and a Mona doll for my little girl to open on Christmas morning. Not to mention the bags of presents from both sets of grandparents, full of clothes and toys, so she'll be fine in terms of presents. Inspired by everyone's kind offerings, I returned to Paul's place in Baltimore, where I donned the hairnet and apron and served hot meals. Cell phones are not permitted inside, and photographing oneself conducting charitable activity violates the objective of the effort. I also arranged a food drive at my workplace to give meal kits for needy families for Christmas, and we were able to contribute 574 pounds of food to the MD Food Bank. Thank you to everyone who contacted out and helped me understand how much of a jerk I was. My personal flaws almost ruined a vacation for my wife and kids. It won't be as elaborate as our previous Christmases, but I have a sense that this year will be extremely important to me, regardless of how little is under my tree. I realized I had all the presents I needed, and I can't thank the kind individuals who gave so generously to a grouchy stranger enough. I didn't have to accept your presents to embrace your love, and just the offers altered my life. Everyone has a Merry Christmas.